welcome to Tuner Talk. So, being older and stuff, you're seeing a resurgence in stuff right now. You're seeing cars like the Ariel Atom, the Rally Fighter, the Vador, that are, and then companies arise like Factory 5 and companies like that that are basically building kit cars.
Yeah.
And kit cars back in the day, were almost all Volkswagen Beetles.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So, and I mean, there's still a few that I wouldn't mind owning, like the Speedster, or you get like it's a Beetle, but it's basically got that cool 356 kind of body on it.
Yeah.
And a little bit, probably a lot easier to find parts for than a 356. Fiberglass body.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing that kind of made kit cars were you could make anything out of fiberglass.
Mm-hmm.
Companies like FiberFab and you're even seeing on some TV shows now where they're building old kit cars, like I forget who it is, but they're building a Cheetah now or something like that, with a big V8. But it's all modern and the fuel system it's basically the body is all that's original to the kit. But you used to be able to buy, the body kit. They just deliver to your house, and then you would tear the body off your Beetle, bolt this thing onto the Beetle, paint it, and you had a unique car.
Cool new car.
And they had everything, so Fieros were kit cars, were big because the body's unbolted. You can unbolt the entire body off a Fiero, which made it easy to bolt on a different body.
Yeah, but so many people made crappy fake Ferraris and Lambos.
Ferrarios or whatever they were, But like, so in the old...
Those are like the worst kit cars.
Right.
The Fiero.
The old ones, I mean, there's some cool cars. Bradley GTs, Bradley GT2s. I had a GT2.
That's cool.
The roof fell in a snowstorm. The roof collapsed on the car, and I bought it after that. So it was a little hard to find parts for it, but that's a different story. But, I don't think I ever drove the thing.
Oh man.
Yeah, it came broken. I fixed it up so it wasn't broken, but never drove it. But like, so you had all those mid-engine kind of exotic cars, like so. My favorites were, there was this line that came down the middle. So you had the Volkswagen-powered ones, Fiero-powered ones, or rolling chassis, actual cars, like a race car.
Yeah.
And they made...
Those are the kit cars I like.
Yeah, so they made McLarens.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, there was a TV show back in the day, I think I had the plate from it, on the wall here. Yeah, Coyote X. So Hardcastle McCormick was a TV show back in the day, and they had this Manta Montage, which was a McLaren race car.
Crazy.
And they had the show, and it was a Beetle. It was basically dropped on a Beetle, but they would dub the sound of a Ferrari or something into the show, and the car would race. And they never, to make a TV show was pretty good to have a cheap car. Even Knight Rider, Trans Ams weren't cheap back.
And that was a formula.
Yeah. So you had these cars, but then they made ones like the Manta and stuff.
Those were cool.
Where you had a V8. Like a lot of guys would put Chevy 350s, carbureted, or they would. But the real Manta, which was I'm almost positive it was called an M6 GT McLaren, had an actual V8 Chevrolet in the back when they raced Can-Am. It was a Can-Am car. So and I've seen ones that are kit cars on tube chassis with the velocity stacks and all the
cool vintage
real parts, the real parts, the exhaust, blah, the back, and they're the car weighs nothing.
Yeah.
The car is like paper towel rolls and fiberglass. That's the car.
And a V8.
And a V8 behind your head through a Porsche transaxle, like a G50. Is it a G50?
Probably, yeah. That's usually what they are.
Transaxle, and it's in this beast of a car.
Oh yeah.
That but you saw that, and they kind of disappeared. So after the Fiero faded from existence,
thankfully,
I don't miss the Fiero either, but that kit car. So and then all of a sudden there was this resurgence over the last maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
And so Factory 5 was created.
They make great cars.
But what has continued through all of it are Cobras.
Yes.
Like there's Heritage and companies that.
And GT40s.
And GT40. So you got like Mustang Fox chassis. If you find a wrecked Fox chassis and you could gut the entire powertrain out of it, drop it in one of these 2-seater Cobras. And when I say Cobras, I'm not talking about a Mustang Cobra. I'm talking about a 2-seat 427 SC Cobra. And given the fact that those cars are $1 million cars now, real ones, real ones.
But they're awesome.
But what's funny is I've talked to guys that have driven the real ones and driven the kit cars. And the kit cars are better.
Oh, they're more modern.
Yeah, a lot more modern. They don't have that coil. I think a lot of them use like a transverse leaf spring, like Corvettes did back in the day. But now they're all double wishbone.
Until recently, you mean?
Yeah, now they're all double wishbone. There's even some rumors about Ford building another 2-seat Cobra.
Well, they had that one concept, though. What was it, the Shelby 1 or something?
Well, Shelby Series 1 was way back, and that was like Aurora powered. That was a Shelby project.
But it was in the same spirit.
If you watch, God, I'm sorry, I'm going to make people actually do this, but if you have to watch the second XXX movie, where Ice Cube was in it, he gets that car.
I was almost cast in that movie.
Really?
Yeah, almost.
Well, they have that Cobra, Shelby Cobra car.
Yeah.
I forget what it was called. God, it's horrible, and it's the CGI races it down a train track, and the car disintegrates. It's horrible. But anyway, that's the last attempt. And Ford had now the new Ford GT is amazing.
Yeah.
Love it or hate the powertrain, it's an amazing looking car. It's amazing performer.
It's great. It's a great car.
But it's not a kit car; it's factory built.
No,
so if Ford built a Cobra, it would be badass.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it would be badass. But those Cobras were built forever, so you'd see a lot of them with like Mustang Fox Jesse turbines on them and 4-lug, and or the
4-lug.
And then Factory 5 came out, and they just took it, in my opinion, to a higher standard.
Oh, for sure.
And they made the cars better, but looking original. You had the fans where they needed to be, and the radiators where they needed to be. It wasn't, let's just make this body fit this.
Yeah, Factory 5 took the concept, the kit car concept, and was like, what's the best way to do this? I feel like. And they are. Like, it's a really, really well put together package that you get.
And then they make their own version of like a GT40 style car.
But then they have original designs too.
Right.
Which is awesome.
Which is what's the 8-1?
I can't
remember what it is. I'll try to look at it. But it's basically Subaru powered. I've seen a bunch of them where they're basically Subaru powered. Where you get cars that are out there that are like Miata powered now. I'm trying to find the car.
Yeah, Factory 5 is kind of blurring the line a little bit between kit car and like car manufacturer. In a way that's not
the 818.
The 818. That's not too distant from like the Di Tommaso Panteras, right? I love those things.
I love those cars.
They're technically a production car, but like
very limited production car.
Yeah, super limited.
Well, technically, the 818 is super powered. So they basically take the all-wheel drive out of it. It's basically a super powered Lotus-esque car.
Yeah.
Lotus-Elise car. But you gut the entire Subaru. It's like the gauge clusters out of the Subaru, everything. I've watched videos, time-lapse videos of building it. It's not 5 minutes, obviously.
Yeah.
But
what do you mean? That's solid. It took 5 minutes.
But to do it, the car is impressive. But you have cars like people that have probably never seen, like the Ultima GTR, which I think still holds the record 0 to 100 back to 0.
It might.
I think it was I want to say it was like 13 seconds, but 0 to 100 back to 0.
That's an amazingly well-built kit car.
But that car is very similar to like the Ariel Atom,
right?
Where you bought it from a company that got here, I believe. Well, Ariel Atom, they put the engine in it over in England.
Yeah.
But they've had Ecotechs, they've had Type R motors and a supercharged
V8s.
whatever.
V8.
I like that. We built a V8. It almost killed everybody. We're making it a little lower on horsepower. We'll bring it back in a year.
Yeah,
that was great. But you get these cars, and like the Ultima GTR is an amazing car, but it's basically like a race car.
Yeah.
For the road.
It is.
It's a race car.
I've seen them on the road.
Yeah. No, I've seen them. You could get them with. I've seen them with. Like LSs, LS7s, LSXs. There was one at SEMA with twin turbo LSX.
Ooh.
There was one with a twin turbo mod motor in it. I've seen them with, basically you told them what engine you wanted
Probably
in the car.
sounded good, that
I didn't hear it run. It was a turkey rod run.
Well, I wasn't.
It was for sale, and I was like, man, how much is this car? You're not gonna ask us to buy it. But they made like the 4 Daytona Coupes replicas.
Yeah. I love those.
And those are, now we're talking about the good stuff.
Yeah.
The Factory 5, you tell them what you want, you get the car with the motor mounts the way you need it.
Oh, yeah.
It's done. Here it is. You finish it up. You paint it. Pick your color. You know.
Yeah.
But there's also stuff like rebodies.
I hate almost all of them.
I hate most of them as well.
With a few exceptions, but this isn't kit cars, where when an OEM will send a car out to a coach builder to have it certain things redone, whatever, that's fine.
There's worse than that.
No, that's a good thing. That's a nice thing. I hate when people do, like we were talking about earlier, you buy a Fiero and you put a really crappy Ferrari
Lamborghini
or Lambo.
Countach body kit.
Oh my! Why would you do that? Why would you even do that?
If you want a good laugh, look up Prova body kits. They did. Yeah, they made some Countach kits that if you put it next to a Countach, it looked like somebody left it in the dryer too long. It shrunk.
Yeah,
like proportion just went.
Yeah,
and
why?
Globbed.
Why would anyone do that?
I always thought, when I was growing up and kit cars were more prevalent than they are now, I always thought look, it's great. It's a new design. It's something totally different. The Cheetah doesn't look like anything. It does a little bit of Daytona Coupe and it's got a little bit of Shelby and a little bit of this, but it was unique.
It was unique,
the Sebring and the Nova, which had the headlights and the whole roof opened up and leaned forward. The Aquilas back in the day, and half the people that are going to watch this remember what I'm talking about. 818s now. Caterhams.
Yeah.
They're still making them. You still make them. It's basically a kit car even when you buy it from them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but there's some. So the Cobra stuff, there's some. You get these kit cars that are, like Lola chassis cars or Lotus cars, or you get like, and the most common thing on Earth is probably a dune buggy. Like a Myers Manx.
Yeah.
And I've seen. We had one in here for a shoot. It was like 300 horsepower, Porsche powered.
That's a lot for a
Insane.
mix.
The green one that's in the hallway.
That's a lot for a mix.
And I was pushing this thing around the studio with one hand.
Oh yeah.
It was nothing. It was And I went for it. The guy was nice enough to take me for a ride in it, and I feared for my life. and it takes a lot for me to fear for my life. I really did. I'm like, I'm not going
because of shoddy build quality.
No. It was built amazing, but it was big wheels and tires and kind of stanced and. It was just so light and so fast. And you ever been in something that you just feel like the car's going to lift off the ground and the tires are just going to spin? And
yes.
You're not making contact with Earth anymore.
Yeah.
And it's just the velocity of it.
It's like too light to be trusted.
Yeah. But there's also stuff that's out there like they make them here in Florida. They're called Vadors.
Yeah.
They're it's basically like a G37, G35. With a rebody kit on it. They used it in one of the Batman movies. The Joker drove it. I've seen the car that the actual Joker drove. It was like chromium pink wrap.
Ugh.
And the car is busy to begin with. It's like how many angles can we throw on it? I don't know. I guess the best way to describe it isn't everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah.
But you go down the road. If you want somebody to go, what the hell is that? That's your car. You know what I mean?
But see, this points to a question I was going to ask earlier, which is, what kind of a car, self-proclaimed car person, and maybe the answer is not a car person, but what kind of a person buys a Fiero or whatever with the intention of trying to make it look like a Lamborghini or Ferrari or whatever? Like, who does that? What is that dude's name? What does he do? Why does he want? You know what I mean? Like. Who thinks that way? I can't.
I think for the most people, it was a matter of, I want a Ferrari, but I can't afford a Ferrari, and I could buy this Fiero that's been banged up a little bit, and I could make it look like a Ferrari.
But everyone's gonna know you don't have a Ferrari.
Well, it's like settling for the ugly girlfriend.
Is it? Oh.
It's like it's settling. It's you're not pushing yourself to the point where you're going to get. What you actually want. You're gonna settle for something that's lesser.
That's sad. That's very.
Yeah, sad. There's what is it, Exocets now? They're based on a Miata. It's basically like an aerial atom based on a Miata, which a Miata's the Miata's minimalist already. So I mean, I don't know what you want.
I think what we're talking about is like two different parts of the kit car world, right? Where you have like
the right and the wrong part.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's right. You have the part of the kit car world where like they use existing parts from cars, but they provide you an in-house engineered chassis and body, and they're just like, look, you can use existing running gear,
which is a body kit.
Yeah,
I mean, and even in Japan, like they make, like, everybody has seen Tokyo Drift, the Veil side body kit for an RX-7. It totally changes the Fortune kit. The Fortune, and they make it for more than the RX-7. They make it for the NSX, which is also for a split second in the movie, twice. It's in the garage scene, and it's actually in Han's garage. You'll see it sitting there. It's yellow. Yeah, that's a Fortune kit. It's a $15,000 body kit for your already expensive car.
Oh yeah.
But it totally changes the look of the car.
Yeah.
And that's a body kit.
Yeah.
We're talking about, I've seen guys with these Mantas and these montage cars and these kit car McLarens that you could probably put this thing next to a McLaren, a real one, and go, you probably have to tap on it, and it's not aluminum. Okay, this isn't hand hammered. Yeah. This is fiberglass. Okay, that gave it away.
Yeah, yeah.
But, and I think McLaren would be like, hey, that's a good freaking job,
But that's a completely different kind of kit car from these Fiero kits. And actually, I was going to say, there's a company called, and you might know them. You had a 928, right?
Yeah.
There's a company called Virtumond that makes, it's a French company. It's a guy, and now it's a company that makes like custom wide body kits and stuff for 928s, and some of them look really good. Back
when I had the car, there was a company called Strasik.
Oh yeah, I know that.
And they did the same thing.
Yeah.
They made they were back in the era when people were wide bodying Testarossas with Koenig. And remember Koenig?
Oh yeah.
Fenders up for days. And,
yeah.
Tires were like this wide on the back of it. Yeah, I mean, bastardizing.
Oh,
well, they're not the greatest car to begin with, but still. But you look at a lot of these.
Yeah, wide body kits are really bad back then.
But you get into a car like now, it's almost funny. But if you look at the Rally Fighter, let's talk about that for a second. Yeah. So the Rally Fighter was in one of the Transformer movies. It's been around.
Awesome looking thing.
It is. It looks like a trophy truck and a Daytona coupe had sex.
Yeah.
I mean, it
probably performed in a similar way to that child.
I know they're LS powered. They've got crazy suspension, but to conform to certain rules, they have to have the U build it.
Yes.
So you have to come in there and work with them, and they kind of like I guess you have to turn one ratchet or something, and then technically you built it.
Yeah.
But it's technicalities, it's loopholes. But it's an impressive vehicle. It's retro looking, but yet modern. All the technology is right now. It's got back seats. It's got seat belts to throw the kids in there. It's automatic it's basically if you sit in it, it's a trophy truck with carpet.
That sounds amazing.
And it is. And they have a bunch of them at SEMA every year. You see them, and I'm just like, this is cool.
They are cool.
But it's who wouldn't want to drive that? I'm going to get groceries, but look at that trail.
Yeah. Yeah. I would totally do it. I'd be such a hoon in those things too.
No, but you look at
driving over islands.
I'm looking at these pictures of some of these kits, and you just want to shake your head sometimes. I mean, like, it's a Corvette with a '57 Chevy body on it.
Oh God,
rebody stuff.
Oh, I hate those.
This Vador thing.
But I would have like one of the high quality GT40 kits. I would absolutely have one of them. The problem is, like, the high quality ones are $50,000, and like that's a great deal compared to how much GT40s really are now.
I mean, one of my friends, I was talking about the Aerial Atom and how it's a visceral experience in a car because you're basically it's way more than a convertible. It's
you're out in the elements.
And he said, "Oh well, it's basically a motorcycle with a steering wheel," and kind of is.
Yeah, and the
it's
way
a four-wheel motorcycle,
and the way it feels, not
right.
The way it drives,
but it's like you're. I remember when they first came out, someone brought one to a drifting event, and this guy did everything short of pray for rain. He could not get this car to break loose and slide. Like nothing he did. That car had so much grip. It had tires for days, but you couldn't make it not handle on a track. And he was just like, screw it. He started doing some crazy laps at Orlando Speed World and just was ripping this thing. I'm like, man, this thing has got grip for days. And he was the same line every track. He was like autopilot. But there's nothing to it. And it's, the Ecotech motor, or like I said, the Civic Type R motor, it's supercharged and stuff. But the thing doesn't weigh anything. You pick it up and you walk away with it. But I think I'd like to see more of that. We were talking earlier about like the Factory 5 GTM, I believe it's called, which is their GT40. Get it, but not go the typical route of a V8. Maybe do like a 2J or an RB
or a V12.
There's a really weird.
It would sound really.
There's
awesome
a really weird.
Or V10.
If you're into JDM cars, Tommy Carey, you've probably heard it.
Tommy, yeah.
They made a lot of Skylines and different cars, but they also made the car. I can't remember if it's called the K1.
Yeah, he had his own car. Right?
Yeah, and it was like a mid-engine RB26.
Yeah.
Just they made like two of them. I'm never gonna see one. I'm probably never gonna see one. A ZZ1 or maybe a ZZ1.
I think it's a ZZ. Yeah, that sounds right.
But it's just
that sounds right.
Can you imagine a 26 twins behind your head, just ripping?
They sound so good.
So I said to you earlier, I met a guy recently. His name's Ozzy. I'm not joking. No, it's not Ozzy Osbourne. But he builds custom motorcycles in Tampa. He's a really cool dude. And we were doing the typical look at the cars on the phone thing. And he goes, oh, yeah. And he flips out this thing. He says, I got one of these, and it's cool. And I was like, oh. And he goes, yeah. And I said, oh, that's a Tramontana R. And he was like, he looked at me like he had met Jesus. Because no one knows what those things are. They made 12 of them, I think, maximum. It's literally a two-seater, one in front of the other, car with a 12-cylinder Mercedes 600 horsepower engine behind you.
Oh.
It has a knob to adjust the horsepower on the car. And it's named after some wind. It's a Spanish car company. It's named after some wind in Spain, like this violent wind that they get. But it's I think when the cars came out, I remember watching an old Top Gear or something on it, and it was one of the lesser-known reviewers, and the guy was like, Lord Vader, your car is ready. And like the whole canopy like opens like this, and the canopy on it opens up like a fighter jet. But it opens...
And it's arranged in the same
way. So, and you can take the canopy off the car and be open top and just leave it in your garage. It's an amazing piece of machinery, but it's so boutique, but it's kind of like these guys just built it. Yeah. And that's like McLaren is now, or a lot of these companies, they're not ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk. People are touching every piece and every part, putting it together.
Right.
And not to get off topic of kit cars, but bespoke stuff, or cars that are built in limited production, are kit cars built by professionals.
Essentially.
Because, you're building the same chassis, whatever.
They're not, but I mean, they're only mass-produced in the most technical sense of the word, and that's it. They're not mass-produced. You're not seeing them all over the place. These are cars that people hand-built. And really, that's what kit cars. It's just the people is you and not...
Yeah. And you've talked to see projects like, oh, me and my son built that.
Yeah.
And how cool was was that?
Yeah, and then you can go drive it together.
Yeah, you go drive it, and then, somebody's going to inherit it, back in the day.
Yeah.
But if you've ever built a kit car, or you come up with some cool kit cars that I may not know about, I know about a lot of them, but there's some weird stuff out there. Or just come up with, what do you think the ugliest kit car ever was?
Anything Fiero-based. Probably those Lambo, fake Lambo Fiero. Those are hideous. Hideous things.
I don't know if it's kind of like urban legend turns out to be true. Did you see this guy that built a Lamborghini kit car in his basement, and they literally had to knock the wall of his basement out and build ramps so he could get it out of the house?
I thought it was an urban legend. I heard
it's real. That. No, it's real.
Is it?
Yeah,
that's terrible.
It was recently they had photographs of this team coming in with a backhoe and excavating right through his house, knocking out all the blocks, and the car rolling up with these big wooden slats of wood out of there. And I'm looking at this thing, I'm like, oh God, this is like a Prova. This is like a horrible one. This is not even a nice... Because I mean, you can tell.
Absolutely.
If you get
as soon as you see
but
it.
I've seen guys that put real Lambo wheels on Lambos, or they make, and you can tell. I mean, you can tell.
So again, why would you do it? Just why?
I'm
Look
telling
what
you,
I built.
if you asked a bunch of these people, they'd say it's what I could afford to do.
You could just afford to buy a better car that's not built in your basement.
There's one I saw in Miami, and it passed me on the road, and I was like, and you know how much of a CGT fan I am, right? So it passed me on the road, and I was like, whoa! And I whipped up behind it. I'm like, and my eyes are just starting. I'm like, what the? And he pulls into a gas station. I pull in right behind him, and I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, it's just, what the F? Something's wrong.
Yeah.
And then I realized it was a CGT body kit on a Boxster. They make this kit.
Whoa.
So it literally is a Boxster
Carrera
that looks like a shrunken CGT. If you guys don't know what CGT is, it's Carrera GT.
That's a terrible, terrible thing.
Yeah.
I have seen something though that nearly fooled me. It was in Vero Beach. Some guy had like a blue 355. It looked like a Ferrari 355 in every way.
Oh, that's
Wheels.
totally a Fiero.
Yeah, everything. Well, no, it wasn't.
Like the most common one.
It actually wasn't, but it looked like one for sure. And just to look at it parked, I was like, oh wow, that's cool. Like you never get to see one of those. And you fired it up, and it was like a first gen Chevy V8. And I was like.
And a lot of those guys took the Fieros and put V8s in them.
Oh, so it could have been a Fiero. But yeah, it was just. I was so disappointed. And he had the hottest girl there, and she had no idea. She had no clue that
we should really do an episode on how girls don't know what cars are.
They don't. She had no idea. There's no way she knew. She was way too proud.
A girl actually can tell the difference of a car. That's such a turn on.
Maybe that's the secret. Maybe we just answered it. The kind of guy who builds crappy Fiero Ferraris and stuff. They have hot girlfriends that don't know the difference or get them.
Does his girlfriend have plastic surgery and fake boobies? Because that would be perfect.
Yeah, she did. Absolutely she did. Yeah, no question.
So they both had some body work, is what you're saying.
Classic, yes. Classic beach blonde, All
right, guys. So if you find anything you want to put in the comments section or ask us to review, we're always looking for new topics. So talk to you guys next week.